pledge allegiance to the please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome everyone. Before we start the supervisor meeting, we're going to have the Carroll County Conference Board meeting. And I will call that to order. First thing I'd like to do is have a roll call, and I will duly note that the 5 supervisors are present. Would everyone else who's here for the conference board state your name and what entity you're representing? We'll start with you, Harvey.
Harvey Dales, Mayor of Manning.
Mayor.
Sam Hanson, IKA Manning School Board.
Good board. Thank you.
Mike Schwabe, Mayor of Breda.
Okay.
John Sampson, Carroll School Board.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. Okay, and that will be our roll call. Then we have an agenda here, and the first, it's a short agenda. We're basically going to approve the minutes and have a public hearing of the assessor's budget. Is there any changes, additions, or corrections to the agenda? Is there a motion then to approve our agenda?
Supervisor second.
Okay, Mayor's move and Supervisor second to approve the agenda. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, then we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's done. Okay, then we have attached are the minutes of the previous meeting, which was March 21st. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion for the supervisors.
School Board second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, then we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, and next item on the agenda is to conduct a public hearing for the 2016-2017 budget. So at approximately 9:03 a.m., I will open up the public hearing for the assessor's 2016-2017 budget. And I will just state that the reason we're having this meeting is because the last time this was published, it was published with the incorrect time. And we checked with the department and to see if that was important, and they said that it was. Therefore, they are asking us to have another meeting with the to have another public hearing on the budget so we can have this absolutely correct. So the public hearing for the assessor's budget 2016-17 is now open. Are there any comments on this budget? Okay. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at approximately 9:04 a.m. And I will entertain a motion to approve that budget.
So moved by the supervisors.
School Board second.
And it's been moved and seconded to approve the budget, which is the next item on the agenda. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, then we'll vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Is there any other business we need to take care of? Courtney or Cindy, anything else? Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Supervisors move.
Mayor second.
Okay, it's moved and second to adjourn. It's non-debatable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I want to thank everyone coming in. It was just something we had to do, so thank you everyone for making the trip. I hope I helped you by making it a short meeting, which all right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Not any more advice?
All right, thanks, Dale. Thanks, Harvey.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Cindy. All right. Okay, now let's start the supervisor meeting here at 9:05 a.m. And first thing on the is to approve the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Also move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the presented agenda. Any discussion on that motion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Let's now approve, review the minutes of the previous meeting of April 4th. There was one little quip in, when we were talking about the county planning, it said Bach will update the priority list and contact Region 12 regarding a facilitator for the upcoming planning session. As Marty and I remember that, he was going to contact the facilitator, and Marty did that. So I would say that you either cross that out or give Marty credit for it. Certainly don't
Okay.
give me credit for what somebody else is doing.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes?
If there aren't any more additions or corrections, I would make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's moved seconded to approve the minutes with that one correction. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That motion is also carried. Okay, let's start with the plats. There's a couple of them here. Two plats. Call it the Walterman and the Kenobi plats, although they are under fine things and other names. Any questions or comments on either of the plats?
I looked at both these on the website, and the Walterman was very straightforward, as outlined in an acreage. And the other one, I assume, is setting new bounds and meets due to the creek or river going through that property, and it's quite elaborate drawing, so.
Yeah, here's kind of a map of the creek in real life, and that Gene's talking about, and as Gene said, they're just using the creek for the boundary now, square up some land, and elaborate is a good term. I don't know if it set a record for the longest legal description, but it's rates right up there. There was a lot of, you may not square it, and for a long
Full
legal
page.
description.
Of course, I understood every bit of it.
Yeah.
This is the third time we've got it here.
Oh,
Because
really?
Carl will take that legal, and he draws it out on his map, and if it, once in a while, it'll have them going the wrong way. I mean, so
We have
very
found
elaborate.
legals where they've had to correct legals on these before, so it always pays to have an extra set of eyes like ours or Carl's on it. Okay. But any issues with the plat? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve both plats.
I will so move.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve both plats. Any discussion on that? All in favor, then say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried, plats approved.
But to put it in.
It's big.
Next, we have the payables.
Oops.
The dollar amount wasn't extremely high, but there were a lot of payables, a lot of small.
I had only just one question, I didn't have time to pull it, but I just, and it's probably correct, but there was one under juvenile, very expensive transfer or series of transfers. Where did we take that young person? Does anybody know? $2,300 transfer.
I assume that was for transfer and lodging, but I didn't pull it either, Mark. Why don't you pull that one, and then we'll know for sure.
That's what I was
I'll
assuming
find
too.
out, I'll be right back.
What did you think, Gene? That's kind of your board. Maybe-
I thought it was probably transportation and also probably lodging.
I don't know if lodging is the correct term, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
So they must have moved him from Quakerdale.
But there was one that I know they said that had a lot of they were moving around a lot.
I can't find out what page is that on, Mark. I remember reading it.
Page 6 of 14.
6 to 14.
Six. Yeah.
If it includes lodging, I can understand.
Well, I'm assuming, I didn't.
On that one, it looks like the mileage was $208. The rest was, the stays.
Includes lodging, then?
Yes.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah.
All right, well, glad we checked it out. Sometimes assuming is not a very good
What was the
idea.
mileage again, 200?
208.
Yeah, because when it comes to transport, they're pretty reasonable.
Boy, that's still high.
Well,
They spent, well, it's 416 miles. That's what they have on here, so
Okay.
that could be several trips back and forth to court or whatever. I'm sure.
Courtney, is there any other ones that we should be alerted to?
Didn't see any, no.
That was the only one that I had a question on.
There's no other questions or comments, I'd make a motion to approve the payables.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the payables. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Number 3. That is a FY approved substance abuse grant application subcontract. Do you have a copy of that there?
I do. Automatically, it's,
I didn't have a
I'll set
copy of
her out
that
for your
in my
review.
package. It
is
was
this the one with state and it's with,
It's the one that you had troubles when we were trying to sign it, and so we made Joanne
it's
signatory.
with
on it.
us and the state, and then we subcontract out to new opportunities on it.
Through new opportunities. And if anybody would like a copy of that, I can get it. I just got the copy this morning from the
Kill the
state.
trees.
Yep.
It's all done online though.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Seems like we approved that thing about seven times through the year.
Well, then they have semi-annual reports, and I don't know how many reports, it's terrible.
Well, and there's a place to sign, but it says we do not sign it until we get approval from public health. So we'll have this on the agenda again after they approve our application.
Been 8 times.
It's kind of confusing.
Sure seems like it.
So,
Well, you
approve the
ought to try
application.
signing the document.
Oh, I'll bet.
I thought I'd give up.
Okay, well, that's the application. You want to look it over while it's fine, and the subcontract. And eventually we will approve the contract.
Sure, that's still going around, but if there's no further questions or questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the application.
I'll
Substance abuse.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion is made and seconded to approve the FY17 application for substance abuse grant. And there's a subcontract on there as well. Any discussion on that? Okay, let's vote on it then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign.
I'll abstain.
Okay, all right, motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention. Okay, then we have the Carroll County and Asme County Conservation Department contract. It's the tentative agreement. Mark or Jean, you have any comment on that? I think we all understand it, but,
Yes, essentially what we're doing is we're just approving a tentative agreement with Conservation. The agreements have gone out, and we'll await their signature before we sign them, but what we'll be doing today, of course, would just be approving a tentative agreement. The agreement is a 2-year deal with Conservation. It is at 2.75%. Fiscal year 17, followed up by a 2.75% wage increase for fiscal year 18. It does include the insurance language that matches the other 3 units. And both wages and insurance would be cause for a reopener. So, as I've stated in the past, I'm not in favor of this agreement, but it moves it off a dead center and avoids possible arbitration. I'm disappointed that the conservation unit did not play ball in terms of being in agreement with what we have the other 3 units at, as well as the compensation board settlement and also the non-collectives. But be that as it may, it does get it off a dead center. It's a very minimal impact in terms of fiscal impact to the county, and it's far less than what an arbitration would cost. So I understand your gentlemen's agreement to move forward with it, but I wanted to keep it fair with all parties concerned, so I will be voting against it.
And I agree with Mark too. I am very disappointed that they weren't being willing to be a team player and join the rest of the groups and organizations. I am not in favor of this, but I will be voting for it because my fear is that if we go to arbitration, we have more to lose financially than accepting this, and it's just it's not what I like, but it's the way it's going to be. I'd better quit there.
So I have the same sentiments as Gene. I think it's one
Right.
of those things we need to move forward and move on.
And I agree with what's been said, and we do have a 2-year, I think that's what we wanted, contracts, so let's move forward.
Okay, I don't have anything new to add to that. I like the second year better than the first year, obviously.
The good news is there will be no union negotiations for 17. I think that's a first.
Unless
There's an opening.
Unless there's an opening.
we reopen it because
Right.
insurance has gone up, and that's
Right.
our election, and if we reopen it, it opens
Right.
wages again too.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion on that? I want to thank Mark and Gene in particular for all the work they put into this particular contract, even though it didn't turn out the way anybody exactly wanted it. You 2 gentlemen put in an outstanding effort, a lot of meetings, so thank you very much for that. If there's no other discussion on that, I'm going to call for the vote on this. Is there a motion? We'll need a motion to do that, of course.
I'll make a motion to move forward with that.
Okay.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, there is a motion to accept the tentative conservation union agreement. Is that the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. All right, thank you, everyone.
You too.
Number 5 on our agenda, Paul S. Rickey Building, Suite B, extension and listing agreement. Basically, this is an extension for 6 months. One thing I would like to note is when we got into the discussion with the realtor, it was discovered that although we thought it was under multi-listing service previously, it was not. So they said, hey, don't you want this multi-listing? Yes, we thought that it was. So that may have been kind of a hindrance as far as exposure on this. It's not having it on multi-listing, so it is on multi-listing now. And this is just an extension for 6 months. Are there any questions on this?
I guess one question I have as far as the price, we've got it at $14.95 and we've been sitting on it for a year. Is that maybe something we should maybe think about reducing that a little bit? And maybe we might get a few more, might get an offer or 2 more?
The
That's-
realtor clearly understands that that's negotiable.
Okay.
Maybe being advertised too high, but I don't think so. As long as it's negotiable and not set in stone, I don't think that's a big issue.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, if it's negotiable.
Yeah, I have no.
They
I have
can
no
make that
problem.
work.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
12.95,
that's,
whatever.
it's a great question, Marty, and that's the discussion on it, I guess, or the answer.
I certainly, I'm negotiable, so.
Yeah,
I think
we need,
the board is
we need to get
negotiable.
that thing rented, guys.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's been sitting too long.
Yeah.
It depends who
It's
wants it and
expensive
how long
storage.
they want it, you know, if somebody
Yeah.
wants to rent it for 2 months, I wouldn't negotiate at all. If they want it for 2 years, as the right
Yeah.
party, I would definitely negotiate.
You know, I looked at the property for the first time 3 weeks ago, probably. You know, it's not the most,
Accommodating.
yeah, I mean, it's a space that's, I mean, you have to be a specific individual that would want that. I mean, it has no
Windows?
windows, and it's on the lower floor, and, so I mean, it's not an easy piece to,
One
To
thing
rent.
to keep open-minded about is, with this jail situation, if there would be a jail expansion, then it would be in the courthouse, and it would require some offices to move. We own property where some offices go into. That's one option. Another option I just thought of is our county attorney, we're paying rent, $1,400 a month
that was
rent
today's
for our county
papers.
attorney's county spot. It wouldn't work very well for them to go there because they'd be losing a lot of their staff that serves other people, but it'd say $1,400. So this place has some other options, as, in addition just to flat renting it out.
Right.
So it's, and I'm not recommending those by any means, I'm just saying there's other options out there. That's part of what the planning meeting could be about.
Sure.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the extension agreement?
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the extension of the listing agreement. Any other discussion? Okay, let's vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Okay, tax abatement resolution, that's on the county farm. You want to explain that for us, Courtney?
We just need a resolution to abate the taxes for the county farm where Mallard View is located. We do this every year.
Government entity.
I did check those parcel numbers out against the assessor's website parcel numbers, and that's exactly what it is. It's the county farm.
I'd make a motion to abate the taxes on the county farm.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the abatement of taxes on the county farm, 4 parcels listed here. Any discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Resolution's in.
Aye.
It's a resolution,
Oh, all right. Roll call vote, thank you.
Bach?
Yes.
Beardmore?
Yes.
Shetler?
Yes.
Miners?
Yes.
Danzer?
Yes.
Motion carries. You need some signatures, I'll pass that around.
Resolution.
Be it resolved.
Hi,
Ready
Shannon.
for me?
Well,
All right,
you-
Gene.
All we gotta do is sign, and you're ready.
If you want to start 5 minutes early, you're
If
sure
that's
welcome.
okay with you, absolutely. I do have a 10 o'clock commitment as well.
Great. This falls into place perfectly.
Well, I put together somewhat of a little agenda to cover some of our main topics that we've got going on at CEDC and within Western Iowa Advantage as well. So, I guess I'll just start by talking a little bit about Western Iowa Advantage and where they're at. That's where I'm headed at 10 o'clock. But we did have their annual banquet last week. Marty was able to join us, and what it was, we did kind of a highlight and overview of the last year, the projects we've accomplished with our marketing money, and Evan also did kind of a comprehensive look at the investment in the region, the job creation, things like that. And then our speaker was Andy from Rose Acres, that talked a lot about the avian flu and how that's affected them and things. So that was really an interesting night. But some of the highlight points that we talked about was the lead generation that we're working with. So what that means is that we have a consulting firm that our marketing dollars are covering to have leads generated for us when we get to the trade shows. So we're not just walking the floor when we're going out there. We have 4 target industries that we're taking a look at, and so we've selected 2 of those to be lead generation shows, and they will do 6 to 10 company meetings that are looking at Iowa as a potential place to locate. So we're having some success with that. We have 2 shows this year. We're doing the food show and manufacturing. And you know, when we say manufacturing, it's advanced. It's around laser precision cutting. It's around the new technologies with roll forming, things like that. So those will be the 2 lead generation shows. We are, again, working on the Employer Educator Summit, and we've had nearly 200 people attend that both of the last 2 years. So that'll be coming up on October 13th. We're pretty excited with that again. And one thing we're working on for the fall, and we need to work on a new term for it, but it's a reverse trade mission is what we're calling it. So we did have some funding dollars out of the state of Iowa to help with that. And what we're gonna do is be bringing out site consultants that are doing projects in Iowa. You know, you've heard about some projects. Mason City is an example, but oftentimes those types of projects are hiring someone to help them find the ideal location. Well, what we're gonna do is bring those individuals that do the research and make those decisions. We're gonna get them out here in the region. We're gonna have them take a look at our sites, do some evaluation, but show them, of course, some of the leading industries and make the case for why advanced manufacturing, food processing, data, and bio are all very locatable in Iowa, especially in western Iowa. So we're pretty excited with that activity. Like I said, it's going to be probably in the fall, pretty big undertaking. It is kind of capital intensive, but we did get grant money to help us do that because we are the only regional group in Iowa that's going to be doing something like that. So we're pretty excited with it. Along with that, our CVN Summit is coming up this weekend, or this week, end of this week, and that'll be one of the 3 for this year. We do invest, it's about $4,000 that we spend, and we have the opportunity each time to hear about 8 to 12 companies come and pitch what they're doing. They're looking for locations to get out of the St. Paul, Minneapolis area. So they've generated some good leads for us in Iowa as well. So that's kind of an update with Western Iowa Advantage, but I wanted to get into, of course, what CADC's got going on. So our technical committee met on Thursday with Amy Haase of RDG to kind of do an update on the housing needs assessment. And I think I'll speak for the committee, but certainly help out if you have any additional comments. You know, I think that we feel pretty good about where we're at. You know, I think that she's done a good job of putting numbers together that are accurate, that are going to be, you know, they're showing growth and projecting growth, but they're also conservative. You know, we've heard cases of studies that have been done around the state of Iowa and beyond where they're projecting communities smaller than us need to build 1,000 units. And, you know, I think that our piece that we have nearly completed is going to be a little more conservative, but certainly show that we need to invest in some development for growth of the county. I didn't bring with me a copy to distribute because we did have some changes that are going to be taking place in the next couple weeks. But where we're at, wanted to lay out timeline. The committee asked that in the next couple weeks we have the revisions made to all 4 chapters that we discussed in the meeting. So as those are done, they come back to committee, they get reviewed, go back to RDG for final touches. And then we as the committee are also working at putting together our 3 priority points out of that piece. You know, what are the most striking pieces, the most usable pieces to put together an executive summary that can also be distributed. So what we're going to plan on, CADC and the exec committee have talked a little bit on kind of how the rollout looks. You know, we think that certainly we should have all those stakeholders in that development process in the room to hear Amy give that presentation, because if there are questions as to how those facts and figures were developed, you know, even the terminologies that she uses in the report, that way she's right there to answer those questions versus being kind of a middleman. Sometimes there are things I can't answer because I'm not that well versed in some of the housing programming. So we're kind of working on a date then that we can pull her out, but we do expect within the next, you know, it kind of sounded like within a couple weeks we should be able to have a completed document that's going to be able to be distributed and start getting some eyes on it. I think the final piece, the rental survey, was completed. She was hoping maybe a couple more would come in, but she felt like we had a really good sampling with that final survey piece as well. So in the meantime, we have had contact from local developers. We've had a couple outside kind of call to say, hey, where's that process? You know, as discussed early on and anticipated, there are developers that know RDG, you know, their reputation and the work that they do. So, you know, there's kind of a following, I'll say. When they know that RDG is working in a community, they'll investigate it themselves a little bit. So, have heard a little bit of that, but like I said, I'm really comfortable. I feel like the piece is coming along really well with the community profiling that we asked for, with conservative but definite growth objectives for us. And also, you know, some policy suggestions, taking a look at other communities, what's working, what's not working, just kind of some best practices scenarios are being built into it a little bit. So I guess I'll open it up at that point if there are any questions on the housing piece, where we're at. It's getting closer. I appreciate your patience.
One thing that got brought up is we're gonna try to get some type of consensus statement or summary by the group. And what we thought we'd do is see if we could kind of figure out some certain things that we all agree on and put them in the summary. And because they didn't want the committee to come out of this shooting in all different directions, you know, we want a main target. And that might be a challenge if some people have different ideas and can't reach consensus, but anyhow, that is objective. If there are certain things that we agree on, and we want to make it clear that we have a consensus group, if there's other issues that we don't agree on, we'll state that, but that is one thing that we're going to try to do with the final draft.
Right.
Have a consensus summary statement or
Like an
something.
executive summary. Mhm.
Executive summary.
Yep. And, you know, to Neil's point too, it's not at all our mission or intention as the technical committee to encourage or expect implementation of any certain pieces on the community level. You know, we very much expect that each community is gonna take a look at what their needs are and go that direction with it. Manning, for example, had said they've done several of these, and, you know, they pick out a couple things that they're able to achieve. But at the same time, we think it's really important for us to provide that leadership and cohesiveness in saying maybe 2 or 3 of the communities all have one common goal. So what can we do in terms of economies of scale, working together on that policy development, or whatever the topic may be, so that, you know, we can kind of provide that facilitation, but again, not say, this is what we expect you to do with this piece. So, I think it's gonna be a good tool for each of the communities to take a look at and make it their own, so.
Well, and that goes back to when we had our meetings with those communities. There's a difference in what every community believed and thought and was doing at that time, and I think that's gonna follow through now again too. You know, some communities are probably going this direction, some are gonna go this. It's wherever their strengths and weaknesses are at. And we can't dictate that to them.
Absolutely.
Gene, you make a good point, and one of my feelings is on this is that it should be used as a tool, as Shannon has called it. And Gene mentioned there's a lot of differences in the community, and also there's a lot of differences in what people want for housing. It wasn't like everybody wants this. So I think the important thing is to get this information out and say this is factual information, this is what people want, and here's the evidence to back it up. Then our investors, our builders, our lenders, our entrepreneurs can say, well, gee, there's quite a need in this community for this type of housing, or in Carroll for this type of housing. That might be a pretty good investment. We'll check it out. And I think it could and should be a good tool for people in positions, whether they're a builder, an investor, or whatever, to develop housing that would be very beneficial to the community. So that was sort of my 2 cents worth. I emailed you Saturday night. We'll probably get it later today.
Any other thoughts?
I had a call Friday, and I'm really glad that I met with you last Friday, because I had more 11th hour updates on it, and I was very prepared. He was a little terse, a little upset, what's the delay, what's going on?
Sure.
And he's got a situation where he already has his own lots developed and plotted and ready to go for what he's envisioning. I'll just use globally retirement,
Sure.
living, retirement housing. But it was my understanding that his lending institution was holding off until they saw the, you know, the outcome of
Right.
this to see whether or not there's a business model for such.
Sure.
And I directed him to you. I don't know if he'll give you a call, or maybe in this afternoon, maybe I might give you a call. You certainly know who it
Absolutely.
is, and maybe it might be best that we be a little proactive
Mhm,
and
certainly.
reach out to them and say, 2 more weeks, be
Yeah,
patient.
Hopefully, I know I've said that before, I've
Yeah.
given estimates before, but I really do think that we're so close. You know, I think that the numbers that we have are numbers that are gonna stay pretty consistent. You know, until this draft last week, there was room for changes, like I mentioned with the rental study, and some things that were being finished up, but I think we are pretty close in our numbers, that we're not gonna see significant changes. And I guess that was just gonna be my other point is, you know, I'm happy to field those. I hate hearing you get beat up on a little bit.
Oh,
but,
it was- I mean, it's
certainly send them my
certainly
direction,
fine,
and,
but-
and as we know what's firm, I will share what I can.
Well,
So.
and she's brought a good point. Those rental numbers that was in there before, I was having a hard time accepting them.
Yeah, and I
And I
cited that
think-
as an example.
And I think that
Why-
finally, now that's, we've got some real figures, so.
Speaking for myself and also speaking for you, Gene, we've both been very involved in this committee. Gene has as well, we both have. But we fully realize that this $10,000 is a county investment, and we certainly can best represent the full board. If you have any suggestions or ideas or comments, you talk to us about them, so we can be good representatives of the board and the county, and it's just not of ourselves.
So do we have a pretty clear-cut plan or objective as what we're gonna be doing with, I mean, I hear this tool and stakeholders and individual
Mhm.
communities tossed around, but is there a clear-cut plan on what to do next?
What's next? Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I really do want the starting point to be that Amy's the one here providing discussion, but following that, as CADC has talked a little bit about, you know, we have the beginnings of a technical committee, and certainly we would look to those that are serving to maintain that. You know, maybe it's not every month that they meet, but we think it's important that the communities are bringing back feedback, doing a little bit of sharing, somewhat similar to our league meeting. But that also provides us the opportunity, as there may be policy developments or any type of, you know, as Coon Rapids, for example, is doing some housing development, as they talked about here recently, you know, so that those examples are being brought forward, as well as any types of issues they're running into. So we expect that, like I said, not probably every month, but every other, there's gonna be communication, that those communities are brought into a room so that we're doing kind of some updating, and then also that we do have kind of an oversight committee. We've talked about bringing in Region 12 into that mix because they are the experts with the programming. You know, typically anything housing that we do is done through them when it comes to state and federal monies. So we're kind of looking and asking some of the partners that are gonna be involved with this thing long-term to get in the mix and keep on it with us. Because exactly to your point, we didn't need to invest in a study we're not gonna use,
So then, Shannon, would it behoove all of the, certainly the 3 major stakeholders, the 3 investors in this, the county and the cities and CADC, then would it behoove us then to find some synergy with that plan and develop our own plan with it?
You know, potentially, as Gene and I talked.
We don't want to go in opposite directions
Yes,
by any
exactly,
stretch.
absolutely, and kind of to Neil's point in finding those commonalities that are gonna fit everyone in that executive summary, that's a great starting point. So I think that, as you mentioned, you know, each of those entities is gonna have their role in working towards that common message. So absolutely, yes, within each of the kind of pillars that have been put together, I think that there are gonna be some individualized strategies as well.
Okay. Is it too early to talk about a potential, a piece of this being a lending, you know, any kind of lending consortium? Is
I
it
don't
too
think so.
early to talk about that?
I don't think so. If you mean here, no, and outside, certainly not. So as one of the points that have come up several times in discussion, and Amy talked about them even in those early on community gathering or information gathering sessions, she talked about lending consortiums. And, you know, as we look at the needs for capital in the housing development process, you're gonna see, you're gonna see all kinds of ways for private sector to kind of meet with a little bit of public sector funding. And it can be used in terms of matching dollars for, you know, if there would be a state or federal project that we'd be looking at down payment assistance. It could even be for contractors, for local contractors that want to maybe go from a single unit to a larger scale model. But I guess what the underlying mission of that lending consortium is that we do have some private sector capital that isn't going to be as tied to, you know, when you get looking at state and federal money, of so many guidelines you're having to meet, those income qualification pieces. You're looking at all sorts of I don't know, you know, I think you guys know what I'm trying to say here. There's a whole lot of red tape and things that you're going to have to pay a lot more attention to when you're getting into state and federal money, so that if you can let it be free enterprise and we can just support them a little bit, I think it really does serve the community better. So that is certainly one of the tools that's pretty high on Amy's list of working at in Carroll County.
I totally agree with that, and I think the timing is actually pretty darn good, because if people have or money that's investable,
Mhm.
the stock market's pretty radical. The CD rate is very poor. People are looking for investments now, and I think this housing will attract investment to certain types of housing where people say, hey, I can invest in this type of housing and do a lot better than I can on a CD or riding in the stock market or anything like that. So the timing is pretty darn good, because there are people who have money and want investment opportunities.
Any other thoughts or questions on that? I don't want to cut you off with that, but certainly feel free to call me when you're ready. And as I mentioned, within the next real short term, we should have a full piece that we can bring forward, so.
I might give you a
It's coming
buzz this
along.
afternoon if you'll be around.
Absolutely, from about 4 to 5. I hate doing that to you, but
No,
we do have a lot going on.
Voicemail works great.
Yeah,
for that.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, a couple other things I wanted to touch on. The CADC group did their strategic plan back in January, and we did review it in March. We had that finalized, and we will adopt in April. So, didn't think you needed another piece to read and study, but, you know, just thought I would kind of touch on some of our highlight points that the group did. We started out by having each of the communities come in and give an update of what they've got going on, so that we as the group really have a good picture of what they've got, what their missions are, and projects that they have in the next few years. So certainly, mostly, you're not going to be surprised with these points, but the priority area for CADC, certainly number one, is going to be workforce development. We're talking about understanding the workforce needs. We're talking a little bit about, you know, reaching a broader market when we're advertising. As we talked about at another meeting on Friday, you know, we are each other's labor pools when we get looking at the region. So in order to satisfy growth and even current positions, we're gonna have to reach a larger group. So we've built in some strategies around, you know, working with alumni, working with the school systems to really try to make sure that all those communication pieces are in place. One thing that we're working on for the summer is a youth entrepreneurship camp. We're hoping to really give it kind of that service flair a little bit, so that kids are able to take a look at what's available out there. And then, as you can see, we've got several pages of strategies on each of these topics. Housing, of course, we want to make sure that our board is absolutely engaged, and we're using our people resources to the best of our ability in the next few years to make sure that we are dedicated to seeing something happen with that piece. Business retention expansion. We currently are going through our industry sector visits. We visit 30 to 35 every other spring. So we're about half done with that right now, and should be finished up by mid-May. But, you know, we really understand too that meeting the needs of existing is really where our priority areas need to be. We do get into business attraction a little bit, and a lot of that effort falls into our Western Iowa Advantage work as a group, and then leadership and economic development policy. That kind of relates to Highway 30 advocating, any kind of business advocating that we can do in Des Moines and also at the federal level. And then transportation infrastructure is certainly a piece that we consider as well. Access Washington, we are planning on going. We have got 3 industry talkbacks that have come forward in the last couple weeks through our business visitation program, and they're very legitimate, very real, and things that we hope we can maybe make an impact with. So those dates are going to be June 21st and 22nd. We expect to be out there, and then we'll just start working on our department meetings as we get more information on those topics. So last year we met with the National Institute of Health the Department of Transportation, EPA, and USDA as they related to the topics we brought, so. Otherwise, like I mentioned, we have the camp that we're working on this summer. Carroll's hosting a downtown forum for the state of Iowa. The downtown program is something they provide funding and leadership for. That'll be June 22nd as well, so other team members of mine from the chamber will be planning that. And then the SEDS program, Marty's been a little bit involved with this probably as well, but at CADC, we did a SWOT analysis for the SEDS, and what that is, it's a comprehensive economic development strategy for Region 12. It's a 10-year plan, so we're going through this. It's kind of longer term, but what we do is we sat down as the 6 counties on Friday. We had a meeting and really talked about that SWOT analysis that was completed, what the goals of the region are in the next 5, 10 years, and then they use that to determine, you know, what their work plans should be and funding sources should be. You know, we talked a little bit about industrial parks, and that leads to transportation type of costs for development. So again, it's something that has to be done for them to receive any kind of EDA funding, but it's really going along well. We talked in the region about housing and workforce, and I think there's even beyond Carroll County going to be some opportunities for collaboration and a little bit of information sharing. So we're pretty excited with that. So those really are kind of the top priority areas that we have related to workforce. Our app, our chamber app, is in development to have a jobs app so that, you know, people from anywhere can take a look at what opportunities we have. And we're just finalizing our new website on the CADC side, so. What
No rest for the weary.
questions might you have? No, it's, you know, it is a little bit aggressive. We've got a lot of things that we're taking on and want to see happen, but there's so many good things here. You know, it's really an opportune time to be taking advantage of some of our technology infrastructure and things like that, so we want to make sure that we're out there.
I will tell you, this gal is always busy, and, you know, she commented about time to get her hold of her. And even part of in the planning session, it talks about more involvement on the board itself to relieve staff, so.
Well, and really, the plan, as I said, we actually finalize and adopt it at our April board meeting next week, but following that, you guys will get a copy, and it's not even a board plan. You know, it really is gonna take a lot of hands, the education sector, the major employers, to bring forward some of these things we're working on, but it's all exciting. You know, as we've said, sometimes we underestimate what a fine example Carroll County is to others in the state, so we want to keep moving and maintain that reputation, so. What do you got? I feel like I come in and talk 100 miles an hour and then just
You
leave,
do.
so. Yeah. So any questions you have, certainly feel free to get in touch with me, anything that you'd like a little clarification on, and as I said, as soon as we have the plan, the strategic plan finalized, that'll come to you guys, and then also that study. I hate to say 10 days, but really I feel like we're pretty close. Within 10 days, we may not have all the pretty pictures in it and everything that we want, but our numbers will be finalized by the committee so that we can be pretty confident in sharing that, so.
So don't put too much stock in the numbers that we have today.
You know, I would say they're very close, but you know, my main concern when not distributing is that if you have a past copy of that draft, and like Jane said, those vacancy rates have changed pretty drastically between drafts. You know, if someone might get 2 versions in their hand, you know, to the gentleman you spoke of, that makes a huge difference. If the lending institution saw a 700 unit vacancy rate in Carroll versus a 200 unit vacancy rate, you know, those changes are pretty significant. So I would say keep that pretty close at this point, and as soon as I can, I'll get that new one out to you guys, so.
Well, I told him the retirement portion probably won't
Yeah,
change
senior-
very
the
much.
senior
I mean,
market's strong.
We all knew going
Yeah,
into it
it's
that there was
strong.
gonna be a dramatic case to be made for
Mhm.
that. So quite frankly, I don't know what his lender's waiting on, but
Yeah, right,
be that as it may.
right.
Can I get a hard copy of what you have right now as far as the, I can stop down and pick it up. I always like to highlight, so.
Yeah, like I said, what I have today is from Thursday's meeting, and so there were just a few tweaks she was gonna work on, so it won't be the final version quite yet, but, yep.
Yeah.
that'll
You
be
can't
fine.
deny that it's not comprehensive enough. I mean, there is no stone unturned. I mean,
Right, and I think, with
13
Amy's
communities.
experience, you know, what, the committee chose RDG, and I think they were very much correct in doing so. She does such an amazing job of taking a look at the numbers, and then as we challenged some of those numbers, such as vacancy rate, she's working with the partners she knows, the professional industries, the people she's known long-term that are doing the same type of things, to say, you know, how have you addressed this? So I would say, absolutely, the product, the correction and the thoroughness is so worth being patient for versus a quick product. You know, we saw that when we looked at the different potential firms to do this. You know, one was looking at no more than twice out here. Well, we know what kind of a product we would have had, so I think the committee did a good job in their selection process as well. So, it's close. It's close.
Did you say that twice, or did I hear an echo?
No, I said it twice because I
Okay.
really am
Yeah,
ready for
I-
the next phase of this process.
I heard the same thing you did, so I understand
All right, well, thanks for having me, and like I said, I'm available if you have any further questions, so.
Thanks, Shannon, good to see you.
You're very
Thanks,
welcome.
Shannon. Appreciate you coming in. You're welcome anytime here. Okay. Dave, you're here. Very timely. We have a 10 a.m. with Greene County, but we can do some of your other business up till that time.
Thank you. That's
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Dave.
It's a question, yeah, keep your distance.
Oh.
I've been doing a lot of sneezing and stuff.
Cold?
Allergy season. Ivy.
Yeah, I don't know
Mine's
what it
allergy.
is.
Yeah.
Just get over it, I'm on the back.
Looked at the drain bills, if Greene County would happen to ask where we spent the money, which I don't know that they will. With George Johnson, we spent roughly $6,400, $6,417. About half of that, $3,140 of it was dredging from the bulkhead, the tile bulkhead, to the road. And clean that out, and the remaining roughly $3,000 was tile repair on the tile section. Marty and I went out and looked at that, and it was all in pretty rough shape. And from what I understand from George, talking to him, I think this will be the last of the bills on 9 and 13.
Part of that 6,400, Dave, too, that'd be rip-wrapping that by that box culvert, or by that bridge there. Would that be in that?
I don't know if that would be or not.
Or was that separate?
That was separate, I think,
Okay.
yeah. I'll get the drain assessments out if that's okay. And I made some updates. From some further knowledge I acquired during the week here. They're on the second page, that drain in Templeton. I didn't hear anything about it, Bill, but I would assume that maybe we ought to levy for that. Would that be okay? And so I put in an estimated bill. Interesting, since that drain was only a $593 original cost, when it would take a 250% assessment on that to raise the money to pay for that and leave a little bit of a balance. On drain 61, last week I met with Tim Pudens and his tiler, and I got an estimate in that $8,000 range to do that work, to replace that 10-inch tile that's shallow in the waterway. That would be a 700% assessment on that drain, which was only had an original cost of $1,259. And down the page a little bit, that $1,306.52, we'll probably have to have a joint meeting with Sac County on Drain 82. We just got this bill in from the guys, actually the drain was plugged up and there was a 2x4 caught in there. They had to find it,
How did a 2x4 get in there?
maybe threw it in Jake. It's
How
Short,
long ago?
short 2x4.
kind of a short one, yeah. I'm not prepared enough to speak about the tile diameter, but it had it jammed up and was making quite a wet spot.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's an interesting kind of the other end of the deal. That's a 7% assessment to
Next
leave
to
a little bit
Prius.
of a kitty. That had an
Yeah.
original cost of $28,296. It was a later grain, it's quite a bit bigger, so we got all the way from 700% to raise a few dollars to 7%, just depending upon the grain cost.
Dave, while we're on Sac County, our objective today was to get the okay from Greene County first, because we have a joint drain in here, and then approve it all. How do we handle the Sac County one?
I think we have to handle it the same way, but I'm not sure who to call up there.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they've got a drainage watchman up there. They used to have a surveyor by boat hire, but I'm not sure who they use now. But I
So-
think I can call up there and find out.
If we approve this today, we would just be approving our half, but it absolutely wouldn't go into effect until they concur. Is that be correct?
That particular,
Good point, yeah.
So let's go ahead with talking with Green and then approve the whole thing, but of course, the SAC one will not be in effect until they concur with our vote. Is that correct procedure?
not sure how your timeline
We could
is.
vote for the assessments less the 82, and then when they have passed the 82, we can vote for that assessment.
Okay, we could do it either way, so.
Because each drain in the assessment will be listed in the minutes, and of course, 82 won't be included in that until we have the conference call.
Do you think that one in Temple's gonna be that much?
Don't know. Sure doesn't take much. We spent
Yeah.
$1,300 to remove the 2x4. Yeah, you get a little bit of time on it and whatnot, so I'm not sure.
It's a labor issue just to find it.
Yeah. 'Cause that was a fair amount of tile that they replaced there, wasn't it? Several hundred feet.
Oh, that's right, they did replace some tile. I don't know how much they replaced. I don't think it was that much.
Yeah. Be okay to cut back or?
I don't know.
knock it out?
You're probably more right than I am.
I wouldn't bet on that.
I'm just surprised we haven't gotten a bill on it yet.
I talked to him Saturday night about it. Danny.
Yeah.
Danny.
Do you remember anything?
He says, oh. He's gonna get right on it.
So, yeah, okay, he knows it now. He'll say, I got his cell number if we wanna call him. And remind him.
No, he knows about it. If he hasn't forgotten it already.
Yeah, $1,000 is enough to fix 3 blowouts and a little bit of research found out.
Yeah, it really varies. What would you like to do? Would you wanna go ahead and approve all those except that Sac County one, or,
Yeah, that'd be fine. My intention was to talk to Greene County first and get the okay, and then when we approve everything with SAC, and then Greene would be included.
I don't know if I put enough in for grade 9 and 13 with that 50% assessment. That's gonna leave $2,000. B&W Spray Specialties, who sprays that about every 3 years. The last time they did it, they spent a little over $3,000. So we could up that assessment a little bit if we wanted, or just leave it as it is. We've had kind of a flurry of work down there with riprap, a couple of riprap projects. There's been some pretty extensive rain right in that area. And it's just really been just kind of in one area that we've had a lot of work. It's not really a big concern trying to outguess it, I guess.
And it's just you gotta hold the bag till next year then.
Yeah,
Couldn't if it's B&W, right?
that one, well, yeah,
If you did 10% more, that'd raise like, what, $1,200?
it would, yeah. And we're a ways off for B and W, and we could wind up consuming some of this and have to, address it again next year. Because B and W, I think, is at least 2 years off. It was late in 2013 when they did it, I think they went every 3 years.
Okay. All right, on the drains, I guess we can get it done several different procedures. One is just approve all the drains now except for Green and Sac, and then they would be approved when we have our visits with those respective counties, or we could wait to the Green one first and do everything at Sac. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'd say let's just do them all at once, except for 9 and 13, and then we'd hold off on the SAC one as early as next week, perhaps if we can meet somebody, but there's no sense in holding the rest of them up.
Okay, that's fine.
I would agree with that.
What do you say, hold up on that?
Let's do them all right
Yeah.
now, with the
Yeah.
exception of 9 and 13 and the shared one in SAC.
Okay.
And then following the Greene County meeting, we can at least approve 913, and then perhaps as early as next Monday, be prepared to change the assessment on the one shared with SAC.
Okay. Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
With that, I'd make the motion.
All right,
And I'll second that motion.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the drainage assessments on all the drains except the 913 and 82, is that the SAC number?
Yeah.
And 82 with SAC County. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, let's proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Both same sign. All right, motion's carried. Okay, Dave, you got a utility permit or?
Is it 10 o'clock is when we were gonna,
Oh,
are they
yeah,
gonna call us?
yeah, let's do that.
I have a number for them. 515-386-5681.
Their number's busy.
They're calling us.
Give me that number again, I'll just, is it 515?
515-386-5681.
Okay. Nine, one, 5, 3, 86, 56, 81. Good morning, Carroll County here.
Good morning, Greene County.
All right, apparently we're having a meeting here to talk about a drainage assessment on drain 9 and 13.
Yeah, we're all present, and the auditor, and Michelle Fields, drainage clerk.
Here in Carroll County, the full board is present, along with our auditor and our county engineer. Okay. Can you hear me? Are we coming through clear?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. The purpose of our meeting is to have a conference with you concerning drain 913 and the assessment thereof. It's, the assessment amount, let's see, what is it, 4230?
60% is what I think what we're proposing, isn't it?
50.
4,230 or 40?
Yeah, 50%.
50%, that'll raise more than
What's the amount, Dave?
50%.
50%. 50% of $12,754.95.
The original drain was $12,754.95, and our proposal is to do a 50% assessment. So that would actually generate, you know, a little over $6,000, and there's $4,230 of bills actually sitting on the table now. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's our intention to approve this drainage assessment. Of course, it's a joint drain, so we need the approval or concurrence of Greene County as well.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions?
It's in the southwest corner of our county, our part.
Yes, it would be. Union Township, yep. Yes.
Hello? Well, no, I don't believe we have any questions.
Waiver ready.
Do you offer waivers?
We offer waivers. Our auditor said yes.
Okay. What's your rate?
What?
6%.
6%.
That's what I just.
I thought we were the same, yeah. Okay. Is there any?
All right. Anybody want to make the motion here?
So moved, Mark Beardmore, Carroll County.
Don Rudolph, second, Greene County.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve a 50% assessment rate for joint drain 913. Any discussion on that motion?
None here.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and vote over here then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We passed,
You there, Neil?
yes?
What was it? What was the project?
There was a two-part project. They did a lot of ditch cleaning up to the road, as I understand. And also there was some tile put in. Half of it was for tile, and half of it was for ditch cleaning. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor here? Aye. All ayes here.
Okay. All right. Apparently, we've all approved it. I'll declare the motion passed with unanimous vote. We also have I want to mention, also on our agenda is a DOT agreement that looks like it's with Greene County for drain 86-150. It happens to be culvert cleaning under Highway 30.
We have a copy of the same agreement.
Would you note on page 5 that at the top of it, it uses the term Hamilton County? I believe it should be Greene County.
Well, thanks for looking out for us.
We're here to help.
I think we were protecting Hamilton County.
My son lives in the Hamilton County. He didn't want his taxes to go up.
Okay. Is it, can we just mark it out and put in green? Is that fine with you guys? I'm sure it's fine with the DOT. They don't know.
Absolutely.
That should be fine? Okay.
That's fine.
Who will make that amendment as noted?
Okay. Do we need to jointly pass that as well? Or is this a Greene County deal?
I'm not sure, they just said we needed to talk to.
Our drainage clerk thinks we need to do it together.
Okay, well, that's fine, because we've invested in it. Yes. Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Need a motion? guys wanna do the motion?
It's Green County.
Okay, yeah, Carroll County, will move to, approve drain 86-150 DOT agreement.
Second, Richardson.
Okay,
All those in favor? Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've approved it, sounded like you did.
Yep, we did.
Okay. Okay, is there any other business we need to attend to today?
I don't believe so.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys. All right,
Thank you too.
Good day.
you too. Bye.
Bye.
Can I have just a really fast question? I hope it's a fast answer, but can you give me a refresher on waivers again? I remember running across this way, way back, 7 or 8 years ago, but a waiver, what has someone have to qualify in order to get a waiver?
Has to be, their assessment, I think it's $600 or more
Okay,
per parcel.
so it's not to exceed a certain amount?
Yeah, so if you would get a drainage bill for $650, you could choose to do a waiver, pay for it over time at 6%
At 6%,
interest.
okay.
And that is
Okay.
money the county earns.
Does it happen very often?
It's happened twice that I can remember.
Drain 102 is the last one that I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody would get,
And that's any one parcel?
because, some people might have
Several parcels?
4 parcels in a drain, and if each of them's $1,000.
Right.
But with at 6%, a lot of times they can get money financed. If they need to borrow it, they can borrow it cheaper somewhere else.
Right.
Because drain 102, that was over 10 years, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and they do
Yeah, I
offer it
just-
for 10 years, but they could choose to pay it off early if they wanted to.
Thanks, I just didn't remember enough about
And I
it.
think it's 600, because it used to be 500, and I think they upped it to 600.
The chairperson has a question, parliamentary procedure. We've kind of approved this, drain 913 with Greene County. Is that sufficient, or do we have to have a separate motion here to do the assessment? We're done with that one?
Should be done.
Okay. That's what I think. I just wanted to check.
So now we're just down to drain 82?
Yeah, okay, very good. Okay.
I'll be auditor's office up there and see. Yeah. Yeah.
Dave, is there anything else under drains, or we?
Under drains, I've got 2 drains. Larry Meyer was in this morning on drain 50. Can't tell you what section number this is.
Yep, north of Lauderdale.
It is. Looks like Sheridan 23. Yeah.
What's the situation there?
It's got a hole in the grass waterway.
Okay.
Tile repair.
Tile repair. Could be just a seam. And Cletus, no, I don't think it's Cletus Spore. Cletus Brinks probably was in on drain 77 up by New Hope Village. Yeah, it's Cletus Brinks. And again, it's another hole over the tile.
Grant section
18.
Grand.
Grant
Be
18.
at the west side of the Hope Village. No other questions? I make
There's
a
no-
motion to approve the 2 drain repairs.
If there's, I'll section it if there's,
All right, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the 2 drains. Pending review, we'll vote. Okay, any discussion on the motion to approve those 2 drains? Hearing none, I'll proceed to call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carried. Utility permit.
There's 2 copies of the utility permit here from Windstream down by Dedham. Is that the Davis Timber down there, back where Nye Bridge is,
Yep.
Louetta Nye, that say it's in section 27. It's pretty hard to see on these aerial photos. The vast majority of this utility permit is on their lane, just a very small portion of it, just of the drawing, is actually on our road, 320th Street, coming in from a pedestal and running down there, so.
That go up to Judson's then, or?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
And though they've got a different name on there, the owner,
Jay Newman?
yes.
Okay.
One and the same, or I mean, basically the same.
Basically the same.
What township is that?
I think it's
Stevens.
27 of Newton.
Newton Township.
Should be two of them.
Okay. We got a utility, you guys wanna look at that here?
Is there just the one today?
Yeah. 2 copies of one. Yeah.
There's 141, 3, yeah, I know where that is.
Make a motion to approve the utility permit for Windstream.
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the utility permit with Windstream. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carried. I see, oh, you're passing around that, quick. Is that the ordinance?
Is there an extra copy there for Courtney? Could throw some of this.
Holy cow.
Oh, boy.
There's nothing left?
This is from our visit with John.
It's
A
kinda
rather
right.
good visit.
It was interesting conversation.
Yes, it was. But this is directly from him, the scratching out of those items that FEMA or Homeland Security didn't like, and he didn't like either. That's good. And some new ones, entrance bridges on the back page. Would be, yeah, I guess on page 3 is what it would be. And cross that out. And then there, under the repealer, the good stuff, he crossed out the final sentence when effective in section 6. There is some left of it, but
Pretty slim.
I think it will do what we intended to do without being burdened on.
And then he wants this stuff added back in?
Huh?
This stuff added back
No,
on the back?
that very last page, all that's there for is just any
Oh.
FEMA comments.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That was from last week.
Yep. So it's the first 3 pages, the front and back, and the front for you guys. And
Well, that'd be simple if you got word, that's in word processing.
yeah, so if this meets with your approval also, I'll delete those and reformat that and send it to Courtney, and we'd need another day to advertise it, at least 7 days from now, which won't be next Monday. So we can put that in paper and then maybe have our final reading. As John put it, this is what the whole process is for, is to, our other readings haven't been invalid. It's pretty well edited as you go.
Okay, so the intention, are you happy with this then, Dave?
I am,
And
yeah.
Marty met with it, you met too, okay. So the idea here is let's get this rewritten, get it to Courtney, and then we'll set a date for a first reading.
I think it could be the final reading.
The final reading.
Yeah, we don't have to start all over. Yeah.
John say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
So
apparently it's a process working through this, and you create the document as you go through meeting by meeting. Just this,
Okay.
as we've been doing.
So that was the job of the first readings, was to make the edits that we needed.
Yeah.
That was John's comment.
I do have a question about the very, very last line of its effectiveness in section 6.
Yeah.
What was his reason for that? To remove, in addition, this ordinance shall remain in effect until such time the Board of Supervisors pass a future ordinance repealing such.
Not sure he didn't really state why. He just threw it-
Crossed it right out.
The reason I bring it up is this board and any other board members I've ever served with have always been very, very sensitive to not hand-shuckling future boards.
He did mention that you can't do that.
Right,
Yeah.
but this does do that. Because it
Um,
cannot be repealed without that being in there. Does it not?
I don't think it prevents us from repealing it. I think that goes, the final sentence goes without saying. I'm thinking that,
It's kinda, it's.
I'm thinking that any future board could repeal it at any time they wanted to.
Yeah.
But why write that down there when it's just the state?
You think it's redundant?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I believe it's redundant. That's my belief.
I'll take
I'm not your attorney.
I'll take your word for it.
Don't hire me for your attorney,
That's
okay?
why John's the one that made the comment to strike it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of, that's just the way it is, and you just, as you're writing it down, it is kind of redundant. But,
Because I don't think any ordinance we pass is permanent forever. We always have the
no,
option of
it's all
passing it.
effect until you pass another ordinance or repeal it.
Until you repeal it, supersede it.
Or repeal it, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I just put it out there, he's gonna be here in about 20 minutes. Might not be worth just being sure, but whatever you guys think.
Okay, let's shoot that by him when he comes in.
Whatever you think, but
Whatever.
I don't wanna,
Would it be possible today to set the next?
Reading for the
Reading.
25th.
Sure.
That'd be the, it was 2 weeks, third reading. So we need 7 days.
Talking April 25th.
Mhm. 10 o'clock, is that feasible?
Does that work,
Yes.
Courtney?
Yes, it does.
I'd make a motion to that effect, to set the third reading for April 25th at 10 a.m.
I will second that.
Motion was made and seconded to set the third reading for ordinance number 40 for 10 a.m. April 25th. Any discussion on that motion? Call for the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Who got
If-
the second?
I did.
Gene did.
Gene, Marty made it, Gene seconded. Okay, and Dave, if we have any changes after talking with John, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay. Dedham Shed lease, more legal stuff.
Legalese.
My question on this is, I don't think we use that, Dave, but on number 3, it says, tenants shall be entitled to and have total, complete, and absolute possession during on the first day of the lease, et cetera, et cetera. Should we have some ingress, egress language in there so we can at least drive over it or do something over there if we have to, or is it gonna get fenced off, or?
It'll just be fenced on the north side, the other side will be open from the old railway street, which is to the south.
So it will be fenced off then?
On the north side, just by the parking lot, is what they're looking at fencing off.
Come up to our
Okay,
building.
kind of sits at an angle, Marty, so do you mean the north and the
Yeah.
north and north,
Yeah.
that's gonna be fenced?
This will be fenced from the corner of the building to over to the ballpark
Okay.
fence.
All
This
right.
right here will remain open.
Be open so kids can get in and out.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then I don't think it's too important to have that in there, because you can't
Could
get
get
at
in
it.
there, yeah.
Yeah, and they also talked about putting a gate over here by the corner of the building. That's, the city council had that discussion too, with putting a gate in there.
So it's the yellow part.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, we'll have access.
Good point.
Okay, that negates the reasoning for my change.
And the other thing, I guess, just going through our conversation with John last Monday is he made the comment of just doing the area with, where the playground is gonna be the parking lot. He didn't think that was a necessity to go forward and do that.
Parking lot?
Right, because once you fence that off, he said that should eliminate some of the problems there, and he said if you keep including things in it, might be an enticement for somebody to pursue it, so he said just leave it go. His
That was only
comment.
my concern, I guess.
And the other thing he talked about is the 3-year lease basis versus a 10-year. If we go over a 3-year lease, then we'd have to have a public hearing to do it. And what we stated is we'd go with a 3-year with automatic renewal. So it'd just be automatically renewed after 3 years.
Oh, so it's still one and done.
Yeah, yeah. And then if we wanna do anything with it, we'd have access.
In 3 years.
Yeah. So that's kind of the way, I don't know if you got anything else to add to it, Dave?
No, I did real good, Marty.
Well, do we have, is there any way we can just, let's say something comes up, can we walk out of this?
Yeah, very last
Mhm.
sentence in item 7. Landlord may cancel 6 months' notice.
Okay. Good.
There's indemnification in there, there's liability in there, it's covered.
Yeah, that's John's other comment, was $1 million liability, and that's pretty much common practice.
Okay.
He did send a copy to the city clerk in Dedham.
He did?
Yeah, Jay Roberts. is
Did
the
you hear
city
anything
clerk.
back from them at all?
No, I would guess they'll put it on their agenda for next meeting, and I'll probably talk with Bob or, and see if they want us to come down or explain anything, if we're willing to go down when they do it. Do you have any questions?
John give us a green light to approve it, or do we wait for their approval first, or anything?
I'd say let them review it, and then after that, we'll approve it, would be my comments. If there's anything they wanna change in it, we'll kind of leave that open at this point.
Okay.
So I guess my thoughts.
Okay, so there's nothing to vote on, this is just a tentative agreement for our discussion, and if they approve it, or or they may amend it, something, we give it final approval after they do their thing. Okay? All right.
Could I go back to drains just for a second?
Yes, you may.
I met with Tim Prudence a couple of times last week. They'd done some prospecting out there, dug some holes, showed me where the tile was in the waterway, the shallowness of it, and the broken condition in several places. And we talked about digging a few more holes to find the extents where we would have to go to get the tile out of the right of way. And he called Dean Prudence. Dean came out with his backhoe pretty shortly, and we dug a few more holes and found where the tile was and the condition of it, and where we would need to be to get out of the waterway. And he made a GPS map with it. Actual locations and the length of the tile it would be, which jives, it's just eyeball stuff that I did, and gave a quote for replacing the tile. There will be,
Where's this at, Dave?
Section 6 grant, straight north of the county home,
Straight west of Lauderdale.
a mile and straight west of Lauderdale.
Okay.
And this, what drain is this?
Drain 61.
What section did you say?
Section 6 of the grant. is not exactly where it's shown, but it's pretty close. The whole thing would shift that way a little bit. More accurately represent its position in the waterway. This comes off our GIS.
How bad is that tile in that area?
It's pretty bad right up in here, and then it crosses and it gets pretty shallow, kind of stays in the right of way. It's not really all that bad down there, but you have to get down to here to get out of the waterway. And as long as we're doing it, we probably better achieve that goal, get the depth, because it's got good depth down here. It's nearly 5 feet deep here, and it's probably 4.5 feet deep there.
That's probably old concrete tile in that, or is it clay yet?
I think it's clay, Marty. Clay and a combination of repairs that has been done over the years in the upper part of corrugated metal and plastic. I didn't really have that on the agenda specifically, but I'll put it on. I think if he does.
You have it under drains.
It's under drains.
We've got drains down.
If he'd be okay to do this work, he would do it probably after planning along the edge of the field, and Tim's okay with doing that. I think he's booked up for right at the moment anyway, like most of them are.
Understand that.
But if you want to add it, we got drains there, you could add it now.
Go to drains and approve it, and then you can move forward with it.
That'd be great. It'd be just to-
Could I see that map again, Dave? Or that-
So a lot of them are crushed in, or?
In the upper part, there's some crushed, and there's just wet spots where they're leaking.
So he's gonna replace that
Whole stretch, yeah.
whole stretch?
Yeah.
He's gonna move it a little bit as well?
Move it
Is that
up,
what he said?
up out of the waterway.
Okay.
Instead of having it being in the bottom of the waterway, and it's, this end is pretty shallow at the
The
south
waterway
end.
also
It gets
uses a-
deeper and deeper, but it still is
road or
crossing
what?
across the
Well, what
waterway.
happens is that every
and
road's out,
we wouldn't
goes
wanna
down,
come in
tile
there
gets so
and-
shallow, and if he goes through there, it
Bristol,
looks like
as
he's
long as you're doing the road, just as well do the job.
We can
Not
tile
do
on
more
high.
for the tile.
Okay. Under
They may be using
agenda
the-
item
probably.
10B, we previously approved drains 50 and 77, and now have a request to approve drain 61. Is that the correct number, Dave?
Yes.
I'd make a motion to that effect to go ahead with the repair on drain 61.
I'll
Is
second
that
that.
included in that 8,000?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anytime they do a tile like that, and move it over there, there's a chance of running into laterals, private laterals that are coming in.
We'll have to tie into them.
He's included all the cost of the digging in his per foot, in this figure here. And if it takes a T or some,
Those are
or a
additional.
Y, those will be the additional costs. He hasn't done any labor. Sometimes they do that by just charging by the hour for the backhoe, so many hours, because you don't know what you're gonna run into. And so he'll catch the west side as he comes down, and he'll probably intercept those tiles that he does, close the tile up, but not shut it up, and find out where it's got blowouts on the old tile, then he'll have to go in and bring those over probably
Tie
later
them,
on.
yeah.
And it should be included for this dollar amount, plus just the price of the materials.
Okay.
He's almost got a trench clear along that other side to find all of them, don't he?
I think they'll expose themselves once he shuts the tile off.
Oh, that way. Okay.
Yeah, blow out.
They'll be blown out, so.
It's got a trial in there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, a motion that has been made and has been seconded to approve drain 61 for repair. Any other discussion on that? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, got that approved. All right, anything else, Dave?
Very draining.
Absolutely.
Very draining.
No pun intended, yeah.
Oh, that pun was intended.
Yeah. Thank you.
There'll be more that show up this week, it'll be more draining.
There will. Yeah, they made a good comment, you know, with all the pressure on those drains and all these seams, all these holes we have, it's just blowing out through those seams because they're pressurized, they make a hole, so we gotta go out, put some fabric over the hole. It's all due to them really being too small.
I have a question, Dave. Last week, we approved the recording of the easement from the county home on down to the Renzi property.
Uh-huh.
Has John been informed of that? Does he know what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let him know that
I
next
just
Monday.
wanted to make sure that he was in the information circle.
Yeah,
Are
he's
you
moving
talking
forward.
John Renzi?
Yep.
Yes.
I haven't called him yet, I'm gonna call him this morning.
Okay, yeah, because I think it's not a decision he's involved in, but he should be informed
No,
of it.
I'll try my best to explain it to him from what John told us in his emails.
You could practically forward that email, but you'll do a good job of that. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks,
Have a good
Dave.
week.
You too.
All
Bye-bye.
right. I see John's here right now, so, I think what we'll start with John is closed session here when he arrives. He's right outside. We're gonna do you have our agenda there, Ken? Yes. We're gonna do item 14 and then item 13.
How you wanna talk, Dave?
Grab John, so you get going there. Talk to Dave. Morning, John. John, now that you're here, I think we will go into, do our closed session item.
Okay.
I think we'll start there. Okay. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session for Iowa Code 21.51C.
I'd make a motion to that effect.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is that a roll call vote? Roll call, please.
Bach?
Yes.
Beardmore?
Yes.
Shetler?
Yes.
Miners?
Yes.
Dancer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right.